Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to this Star Citizen discussion video franchise series. Don't know what I want to call it, and just a little one today because I don't really feel like there's much I really want to talk about at the moment. But this is one thing I have thought from the second I have got into the project, and I've noticed a lot of people don't seem to agree. They want to have every job like people in very defined roles, and that is all they do. They don't double up. But I want doubling up. I want multiple roles to do on a ship. Otherwise, I think the game will get very boring really fast. Because I think you're going to run out of things to do really fast. Like, for example, I want the engineer to double as a turret gunner. And so I'm going to specify something later about combat situations because I think that's different. But if you're more, especially for the industrial side of things, I think an engineer should double as a turret gunner. I don't think you should be just doing the only one job on the ship. Let's take a look. Take a look at the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. When you're watching this the TV series, the films, do you see the people all the time? Like, is there one person that's a designated engineer? Not really. If something started blowing up, one of the turret gunners may jump off and start fixing the ship and that sort of thing. It's undermanned is basically what I'm trying to say, and I think undermanned ships will be fine. There's going to be a sweet spot, I think, and it's going to be hard to find those sweet spots. I've got a couple of fleets I've sort of just thrown together in 2 seconds I want to show you later on, but yeah, I think for an engineer, when things are pretty smooth sailing, things will get quite boring and you'll want to do another job. Like maybe he doubles as the logistics person on the ships and he's got to look after the stock, the inventory, that sort of stuff. Or maybe he... Like, obviously the pilot is going to be pretty much piloting all the time. But, yeah. Maybe the pilots for a ship can be the... Like, if you've got a snub carrier that you bring around for protection that can take off, kind of like the Andromeda or the Polaris or something like that, maybe you can then be the ship's logistics person too. It's just, I really think that having maximized number of people on a ship, I just think it'll get really boring. You're going to want to have more jobs to do because I think you'll run out of stuff to do. Like if you, for example, or the co-pilot. The co-pilot is a big one. Right, co-pilot, chart the course. Chart the course where we're going to be going. Okay, good, that's that done. Now what? Pilot's piloting the ship. Oh fudge, we're under attack. Co-pilot, get off out the co-pilot seat, jump on a turret gun and get firing because you're doing bugger all in the co-pilot seat. Or, oh, co-pilot, jump and start doing the missile operator mode. Co-pilot, do this instead. Co-pilot, go be an engineer. We're in a combat situation now. That is the type of thing I'm on about here. I don't want the co-pilot being a co-pilot 24/7. I think he'll be bored out his mind. Like, the ship doctor could also be double as a turret gunner. The ship, anything, can double as a turret gunner, apart from the pilot. If you're keeping armed marines on the ship, they definitely can double as a turret gunner. And then if you're getting boarded, I really don't think you're going to be that worried about being on the turret guns. AI and blades, I've really no idea how they could either be absolutely amazing or they could absolutely suck. We really don't have enough information on what even CIG are aiming for here. And then AI type stuff is notorious for being really bad. There has been times AI stuff's been overpowered, like when in Left 4 Dead when there's a sniper, AI just like pew, 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 just like out of nowhere, they're all running in the opposite direction, turns around, snipes you in the head. But yet, normally AI is notorious for being bad, and with Star Citizen's like bots process it's in at the moment with its servers, AI is notoriously bad. So yeah, I don't think we could really rely on them too much. But I do foresee, if they are a thing, obviously the Blades is a turret gunner and it is only able to be a turret gunner. But if we have an AI turret gunner, I would imagine the AI turret gunner wouldn't be getting up and doing some engineering chores. If we have an engineer, AI, I wouldn't imagine he'd be doubling as a turret gunner either. But I'm just talking about players here. I think players will be doubling up in multiple roles. For example, the Cutty Black, the co-pilot, can easily double as the turret gunner and can easily double up as the tractor beam operator. And I feel like this is going to be a huge thing. And then I think this is going to branch out across fleets too. So you're going to have maybe a fleet brings 2 ships with it, but it only operates with certain ships at certain times. So maybe the 2 fleets I show you later are even just all part of the one fleet, because maybe they do the mining stuff and then they sell it afterwards, and these are the 2 fleets. So they jump on one, then the other. They're not in the same thing. Or maybe you've got something big like a carrier, like a Kraken, and you've got lots of ships on your fleet, but again, you're only doing certain things at certain times, and so you're not wanting every maxed out crew capacity. You're going to be able to do it with a skeleton crew. That's a good way to word it, I'm trying to think of. So, you know, with that all said and done, I think we'll jump over and we'll show you some examples of what I'm trying to talk about here. And this is a really ramshack, didn't put much thought into it, I just threw a little trading fleet together. Ignore the 27 crew capacity here, because that would be me cheating if I was going to say that. But the maximum crew that I see these 3 ships are the big ships that I see it being used all the time, and it would say a crew capacity of 15. It would say for these 3 ships. These are the big ones. This is the trading fleet as it's doing a trading run from A to B. It's saying 15 crew, because it's saying 5 on each of these and 5 on the hull D here. So we'll pretend this says 15 because these ships are used when these ones aren't. And so then you've got... I think you can do away with most of the people on the hull C, and I think you could get away with 3 people on each Redeemer. Like a pilot and 2 turret gunners, and then they can swap around, move around, be engineers. You could add more people to the Redeemers for more turrets and stuff, but I think you could get away with just 3 as the skeleton crew on each. And then, to be honest, I think you could get away with 2 people on the hull. I think you would, if you're in this sort of situation and you just do come under attack, the hull's turret guns aren't going to save you. Whoever is attacking you will be able to just avoid their arcs of fire if they know what they're doing anyway. Yeah, the hull is not the most maneuverable thing. Its main job isn't going to be wanting to get his guns on target. Its main job is going to be wanting to get out of there. So I think if you've got a pilot and an engineer on that ship, you're golden. Golden. We don't know 100% about how the cargo gameplay is going to work once they start adding like volatile stuff. So if you're doing a volatile run, I have heard speculation of people talking about maybe you want someone just to monitor the cargo, making sure everything's pristine good. Like if it's a refrigeration units kind of thing, you're wanting a specialised engineer to sort of maintain those refrigeration units, make sure they're all at the right temperature. So maybe you want an engineer for the ship and then someone to manage the cargo too, so that would maybe put it up to 3. So for argument's sake, we'll just say 9. And then the good thing is, if you really did want to use those turret gunners, those people... Oh, go away, mail. Oop. Those people could double up as well as turret gunners if you really wanted. Like the engineer could jump on a turret gun, and the logistics person could jump on a turret gun, which it has 2 of. But again, I don't really think they're needed, but it does recommend 5 for its full crew. I don't see why you'd ever want the full 5 on a hull. Like, I don't think I'd ever want 5. As I said, I can get 3. I can understand 3 people on the hull, and that's it. That's as far as I'd go. 3 people on the hull at any one time. The engineer can double as the co-pilot, and that's all you need. I'd probably think 2 is ideal, possibly 3 depending on how the cargo is and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's all it needs to do its cargo run. Then you've got them there, so we'll say 9. That's 9 people you can get away with doing this trade run in. Then I've got these other ships, so when you get there, the people jump out of the Redeemers and they jump into the SRVs. to help unload this, and the hull A's and arrows are for minor trade runs. So like you want to take wee bits and take them to a more specialized location, like say 80% of your cargo you're selling just at the big port, selling it all there, but you've got a few more specialized items, maybe rarer items, or maybe items that are worth a lot if you then take it to the next step, anything. Or maybe you want to take it all to the next step. You're just going to park up the hull somewhere safe in the port, then you're going to take the jump to the next step, jump 4 people out of these into these, and then these as escorts for them, and then take that to planet side, or take that to the next step in the chain. So you've got your big ship delivering from big ports to big ports, then you've got your slightly smaller ships delivering from the ports to the next protocol, and then slightly smaller again to the storefront kind of thing, and so on and so on. So you're taking that big huge bit, splitting it up, splitting it up, splitting it up, splitting it up until you get to the storefront where you're buying an individual chocolate bar, if it was chocolate bars that were being hauled all the way through space. So these are really just the next step, and to be honest, I could have just not added these ships at all. Yeah, basically the crew of these jump out and onto these. I just wanted to pinpoint out. I suppose it is a bit important to make sure my point gets across that I think that these don't need to be manned at all times. But yeah, so 15 max, I don't think you'd ever need. If you did want to max out the Redeemers, because you could argue combat situation, you want to be maxed out, fully possible, then that would stretch that to we won't give him the extra if we're maxing him out. So that's 10, 12 out of those 3 ships when it thinks it's 15. And I think that would be full efficiency, running on 12 crew for these 3 ships doing that trade run. I think if you had more than that, like the people on the hull would just be like, bored out their minds. Now, I want to point out the next fleet. I think the max crew is actually spot on, which I was actually really surprised about, because normally for a ship of its size, they'd normally have it like 6, 7 of a ship of its size, and boom, we jump over here and we see the Liberator, and I think the 8 crew would be perfect for this little mining fleet. I think once we see more about the refinery ship, because I'm expecting the refinery ship maybe to be a bit larger and hopefully have the fuel in that to keep up with the Liberator and the long distance requirements to keep up with the Liberator and all that, because then it won't have to get carried. But yeah, basically the whole point of this fleet here is you've got the 3 ships on the Liberator, the couple of rocks on the Liberator too, and it's going to go around a planet that's rich in minerals, and it's going to mine. The reason I chose the Cutlass Black was it's got the tractor beam, great for grabbing the saddlebags from these guys. So these 2 can go around mining constantly, whereas he can go around delivering the rocks and picking up the saddlebags, bringing back the stuff all to store in the large cargo capacity of the Liberator. And I thought 8 is literally like, it is really great. To have 2 people on your Liberator, I think would be perfect. Then you could have 1 or 2 people on the the Cutlass, 1, 1, 1, and 1. And then the 8 people would be able to just 24/7 keep this mining operation going. Just boom, just going. And the reason I'm saying it's 8 spot on, and it's the max it's saying, it's just because I feel like they've got it spot on for the Liberator. Because normally they'd be like, right, each turret gun needs someone, so there's I think the 2-point defenses are automated, so that's fine, but then you'd need a turret gunner, so there's 1. You need your pilot, they'd normally say, then they'll probably like, you need your co-pilot. Then on a ship like this, they'd say you'd need at least 1 engineer, that's up to 4. Then they'd normally say something like 1 person to look after the ships on at 5, so I'm really surprised they did not say 5 min crew for the Liberator, but 2, I think they got it spot on. I think they've got it spot on for the Liberator. And when you're saying, oh, but the Liberator, it could really use the extra pair of hands when these ships are on it to get stuff done. They've got the pilots from those ships, from the rocks, from these. So the Cutlass, when it lands, like those 2 players can get off and do the maintenance to there. They could refuel it themselves with the hand refueling. They could do that stuff themselves. They don't need someone else to come and do it for them. They can get off their backsides and do it themselves instead of just sitting there. And if the ship's landed, the pilot and the gunner, the engineer, whatever he is, running around, they could have that all prepped and ready to go. They could even have it. They could do it for the Cutlass Black if they wanted to make sure he's taken off the split second, like so it lands. They're quickly like ding, 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 couple of things done. Right, take off. Those two can handle it if they're in that sort of situation where time is needing to be as efficient as possible. But then they wouldn't be able to fly at the same time unless the rocks were in the cargo, in the back or something like that. Yeah, so I've just thought this one was much perfect amount. A small mining crew, 8 people. This would be an ideal little mining fleet. And I think you could get away with adding a refinery ship to this without increasing the 8. But again, we really don't know what the refinery is going to look like and what the gameplay is going to be like there and how big that's going to be and all that stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing the refinery ship. I want it to be good. I'm really interested to see what is going to be the benefits of having your own refinery ship over having a refinery here. But yeah, I suppose that'll be this episode done. I just wanted to try and get a little point across. It's not a big point. It's a rather dull, boring thing, but it's just something I thought from the beginning. Everyone's constantly talking about like having maximized, like, oh, you're going to need 20 people to run this, 20 people to run that. And whereas I agree, a lot of people don't realise the number of ships that are going to be involved in, like, say, running something like a Kraken. We did an episode on that before. I think what also a lot of people don't realise is how skeleton crews, I think skeleton crews are going to be the way to go when you're not looking for a fight. If you're spoiling for a fight, and say this completely goes out the water, if you are getting a military style fleet organised and going into battle, you're going to be wanting, if you're looking for a fight, you're going to be wanting someone on those turret guns and someone maintaining the like ship's engines, being an engineer at the same time. If you're looking for a fight, that's what you're trying to do, and you are going to get into a fight. That's different. But if you're not looking for a fight, what on earth are those turret gunners going to do? Those turrets are there as just in case. So you don't want to be sitting on a turret gun just in case. You're going to be bored out of your mind. So there. I thought I spent, oh look at that, nearly, it's 18 minutes nearly talking, just trying to get that one little single solid point across. But then again, we did get to look at a couple of bit of fleets. The SS, get a couple of fleets that I think worked really well with a skeleton crew. The Liberator, this one really isn't a skeleton crew, but I just thought it'd be really cool and thought I wanted to point it out. Okay, I don't know what I'm really going to call this episode. Maybe skeleton crews? Discussion skeleton crews. I don't know. I've rambled on enough. This has been a weird video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it anyway. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. See you all next time. Bye. Bye.